So how does art actually work? Like at a gallery level, like what the hell are we actually doing here? A lady actually just came in and was just like, "Hey, can I ask? Do people actually pay like $11,000 for a painting?" And I decided not to interpret that as quite rude. So there are actually a number of different like kind of businesses within the art business, as it were. Of course, there's the like very high level like corporate tax dodgy stuff. That's a different video. But art as an investment strategy is actually very safe. As long as an artist continues to actually practice, their art goes up in value. Unless they somehow manage to ruin their reputation somehow. The same thing if like a company has like a CEO where like so much of their brand is the CEO, and the CEO turns out to be, let's go with the word disappointing. As long as any of these artists continues to art, their work will gradually increase in value. And unless they make a very, very unwise tweet, that's probably not going to change. Now, artists and investors will understand that the artist's reputation is their brand. So basically, I mean, the point here is we're not going to work with anyone who is likely to tweet something stupid. Okay, but you claim that they're a safe investment. Are they a good investment? Oh, yeah, like as far as actual incoming value, absolutely. So if you have like the time and money and like talent for art investment, really, you could be getting anywhere up to, okay, so like a standard investment might be returning like 4%. Like that's the kind of thing for stocks, right? For art, 20 more. If you're in the right place at the right time with the right up-and-coming artists with the right exhibitions, and maybe you're using your own influence to kind of, yeah, no, absolutely, like a doubling your money within about 5 years is not uncommon. And you find this all the time with like very, very famous people attaching themselves to upcoming artists and being like, hey, see their shit? Yeah, their shit's great, you should buy that shit. Of course, I have already bought like 10 of their pieces, and then you go and buy them, and massively inflates, and then I sell out. It's all a pump and dump scheme. All of it's a pump and dump scheme. Well, actually, but there isn't a dump. It just keeps on going. It just keeps on going up. So here's how it works, and here's how, like, here works, right? So you're an artist, right? And you come to me with 10 pieces that you'd like to sell, and just to keep it like a frictionless, plain sort of a thing, they're all basically identical. And I sell the first one for $1,000. And then next week, I sell the next one for $2,000. And then that keeps on going until I sell the last one for $10,000. Now, if you're the guy that bought the first one on like the first week, then you're absolutely loving this, because as far as like your bank is concerned, your insurance company is concerned, yeah, you could probably get that insured for like $10,000. And that's just $9,000 that just kind of came out of nowhere, because that's how the market works. And that's the thing, like that's how the market kind of works for everything. A gallery is kind of like a metaphor for capitalism, just a microcosm of nonsense. What actually happens is over the years we might be increasing the price of particular works of particular artists by 10%, 20%. Every time they have an exhibition, we up the prices. Every time they become a finalist in a particular art competition, we up the prices. Every time there's a article about them in the newspaper, up the prices. But surely this is like screwing somebody over, right? Like it has to be. No, everyone wins, really. The person who bought that one for $1,000 that is now worth $10,000, they win. We take a commission, so we win. The artist, gets the money for the painting, so they win. Really, it's the artists in the gallery that win the least, because it's the people who invest who end up, with that massive increase. We can only sell a work once. Well, no, actually, so, there's a great piece of Elizabeth who does the spooky stuff here. There's a great piece that, like, looked like a classroom with, like, woods kind of overgrowing into the room and, like, papers flying everywhere. If that walked in today, we sold that for maybe, like, 3,000 a couple of years ago. If that walked in today, I could sell that for 10 grand in, like, a week. It's just the perfect painting, because, like, that was before COVID. It's like, after COVID, that particular painting, people would be like, yeah, we're taking that, thanks. So we could, like, resell paintings over and over again. And then the artist kind of gets screwed over a bit. The resale of art may not benefit the artist kind of at all. But the resale doesn't necessarily help the artist okay, no, it does though. Let's say, again, with the 10 different works, let's say that the guy that came in on the fifth week, and bought the one for $5,000 now comes in and tries to sell it with us again, and we sell that one for $11,000. We've now set the precedent that artist's work is worth around the $11,000 mark. And so, when the artist comes back to us with another 10 paintings, we can be like, all right, now we start at 11 grand. Because the way that value for something intrinsically valueless like art works is, if I can demonstrate that I can sell something reliably for a certain amount, then as far as the market is concerned, as far as, for example, a bank is concerned for collateral, for you getting a loan to maybe purchase, some income-generating assets, is concerned, then it is worth that amount. Oh, that's what's going on here, isn't it? Yeah, that's what's going on here, yes. soon as like a bank would consider something viable enough to be collateral, you can then like take loans out on it, and then this is how like corporate stuff gets done, right? You use the paintings as collateral to get loans to buy something that generates capital. People definitely like massively exploit this system, right? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we used to have over in the Long Gallery, just over there. It's the gallery space, really, in like Tasmania. There used to be private auctions over there, and what would happen is like 50 or 60 people would be like coming in. They'd have a private auction, they'd have a private exhibition, then have an auction at the end, and none of the public was allowed in. Why? Because it's a micro ecosystem. It's a micro economy where they would just trade things around. They just basically hand things around to people. But they hire the proper auctioneer and like have all the accounting done and everything like that. And what they probably did was they bought like, for example, going back to the analogy, they bought just those 10 pieces all for $1,000, all for the same price on that first day. And then they're just like, I'll hand my one to Jerry, and then Jerry hands his to Marisha, and Marisha can give that one to me. And we'll say that that's now $2,000. Then we'll do that again next year, but with different people for $3,000 and so on and so forth. And, we have all the accounts done, we have all the receipts and bloody, bloody, blah. And then we can trick the bank into thinking that actually this stuff that is, again, still intrinsically worthless is worth significantly more money than we bought it for. We artificially inflate that price for things like collateral, for donating to charities, for tax write-offs. Now, if they were actually to sell any of those pieces that they were doing that with at these private auctions to the open market, they'd probably get nothing, because no one knows what those works even were, like at all. Wait, who does that hurt though? Like, is the artist in? I mean, if the artist doesn't like gain much from it, but like, is it hurting anyone? I mean, it's all tax nonsense. So like, yeah, it's roads not getting paved, it's schools not getting funded, it's hospitals not getting. Yeah, no, it does hurt people. I mean, particularly like the private auction sort of a stuff. Like, again, that's the sort of a thing where people with the time and money, people with a certain amount of capital, like leveraging that capital to not have to pay taxes, basically. And yet again, it is the people with the least amount of money, the least amount of leverage in society that actually have to pay for it. Yeah, apparently Australia is actually doing better than most nations in like actually taxing corporations. And like, we're not doing well at taxing corporations, just that apparently the rest of you are doing even worse than we are. Now, all of that having been said, here, this is all good for you. This is all good for basically everyone involved. I work for you as the client, as the investment investor, as much as I work, not as much as I work for the artist. But when you buy a piece of art, you want the prices to then go up from that point. The way that you interact with art on a daily basis, as long as you're not like a multi-millionaire who doesn't want to pay taxes, all of that is beneficial to us who are just trying to keep the bloody food on the table, to the artists who are just trying to keep the bloody food on the table, to you who wants a relatively safe investment, and who also just wants something nice on the walls. So, all the like, high-level corporate stuff and like private auctions and stuff like that, that's all, society failing the little people sort of a stuff. But this is the little people stuff. All the art galleries and like the stalls that you might buy from at markets and stuff like that, these are just people who are just trying to keep the lights on and stuff like that. So, and we're doing it by slightly abusing the concept of value in the first place. But I mean, how has the concept of value helped you in the past, right? I had actually, it was really handy. Some ladies walked in the other day and were just like, hey, we're looking for an investment piece to hold on to for like 20 years. And I was like, oh, that's a very interesting question. Yeah, okay, you'll want this guy, that guy. If you walk into the majority of galleries and, hey, I'm looking for an investment piece, that's going to be as good as meme stocks, I'm going to be honest. Maybe not as good as like GameStop, but, if you find the right person at the right time, then supporting upcoming artists can be very profitable. Also, hey, if there are any like school exhibitions, or like whether it's like high school or like college exhibitions, or like university art school exhibitions, like their end of year deal, supporting those artists like at the very start of their career, it's not necessarily going to benefit you, but it's going to absolutely make their day, week, year. It's going to absolutely, like, if you wanted like some actual good, affordable art and really support young artists who could really do with that right now, yeah, it's school exhibitions. Yeah.